Hello, everyone, and welcome to Project Management Methodology. My name is Emery, and I am presenting today's class. I will be assisted by Nathan, who is monitoring the chat and Q&A today. Some ground rules before we get started. Your mics have been muted on purpose. If you have program-related questions you would like to ask, please do so in the chat, which can be accessed at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Your text will only be seen by panelists, Nathan and me, not all attendees. Any inappropriate behavior will result in your removal from this virtual program. We will try to answer the questions as we go along, but there will also be a time for a Q&A after the lesson is over. A recording of this class will be made available on the Plano Public Library YouTube channel as well. Today, we are exploring different styles of project management. Please note that we are not project management professionals, and this program is intended as a basic introduction. Let's get started. In this presentation, we will explore various project management methodologies and their pros and cons to help you choose the right one for your team. We will talk about Agile Philosophy, the Waterfall method, Kanban method, Scrum method, Scrumban method, and then we'll talk about different project management software. So let's start with Agile Philosophy. Agile is an overarching philosophy and not a set of tools or processes. Agile project management is an iterative approach to managing software development projects that focuses on continuous releases and incorporating customer feedback with every iteration. Agile creates several incremental steps with regular feedback intervals. Scrum, Kanban, etc., on the other hand, are Agile methodologies. This means it offers the specific tools and processes to implement Agile. It exhibits many principles characteristic of Agile, including the capacity to adapt to changes and transparency across the team. Let's talk about the pros and cons of Agile. Starting with the pros, you do have the ability to adjust during each iteration to promote velocity and adaptability. With today's customers and businesses requiring rapid responses and changes, Agile provides the flexibility to adjust and iterate during the development process. Agile is best for projects that require flexibility while still maintaining some structure, or large projects that need to be split into smaller workable chunks. Now the cons. So moving to Agile practices may require a number of process changes, especially when adopting a DevOps approach, where development and operations teams work closely together to develop and maintain software. The product owner's focus is to optimize the value of the team's output. The team relies on the product owner to prioritize the most important work first. There is an organizational learning curve cost with Agile, which can be a con, and paths and roles may not be defined as in other approaches, such as the Waterfall method, which we will talk about soon. This method or philosophy is not the best for projects that cannot be split into smaller chunks or managers who have difficulty prioritizing the most important work first. So here are a couple of instances where Agile may not be the best. If the development team can only accept work that it has the capacity for, the product owner doesn't push work to the team or commit them to arbitrary deadlines. The development team pulls work from the program's backlog as it can accept new work. Another situation Agile might not be the best for is that Agile processes cannot function without a high level of trust amongst team members and therefore create trust. It requires candor to have difficult conversations regarding what's right for the program and the product. Because conversations happen at regular intervals, ideas and concerns are regularly expressed. That means team members need to be confident in each other's ability and willingness to execute on the decisions made during those conversations. Moving on to the waterfall method. So this is a traditional approach to project management. It's a linear, sequential approach to project management that requires each phase of a project to be completed before moving on to the next. And progress flows in one direction, just like a waterfall. And on the right side of the screen, you can see the waterfall method sequence. So again, they go in one direction, starting with requirements, moving on to analysis, then design, construction, and finally testing. So there are some pros and cons to this method. Since everything is mapped out at the beginning, there's a lot of room for error if expectations don't match up with reality. And there's no going back to a previous stage once it's completed. Just imagine trying to swim against a waterfall. It is not fun. Some of the pros of this method are that it involves a predictable timeline. There are clear objectives and defined deliverables. This method is best for projects with well-defined requirements and few unknowns. If the end goal of your project is clearly defined and is not going to change, if the stakeholders know exactly what they want and that isn't going to change, if your project is consistent and predictable, and it likely is not going to change, there's a pattern here, and if you're working in a regulated industry that needs extensive project tracking or documentation. Now, there are some cons. So this method is not suitable for complex projects, limited flexibility for changes, and difficulty in measuring progress. And there's no going back to a previous stage once it's been completed. So this method is not the best for projects with ill-defined requirements and a lot of unknowns. If your project is liable to change, if you don't have a full picture of all of the requirements before you start, or if you need to do continuous testing, or if you need to adapt to feedback during the process. Next, we have the Kanban method. This is a visual approach to project management that uses a board with columns to represent different stages of a project, allowing for a better visualization of a project's status at a glance. This method is great for giving everyone an immediate visual overview of where each piece of work stands at any given time. Work in progress limits restrict the amount of tasks in play at any given time, meaning that you can only have a certain number of tasks in each column or on the board overall. It is focused on continuous delivery, and it helps you to see where bottlenecks are at risk of forming. Kanban is best if you're looking for a visual representation of your project's progress, if you want an at-a-glance status update, or if you want to encourage using work in progress limits so your team can stay focused. Now, there are some cons. Timeframes are not listed for each phase, so teams may miss deadlines or fall behind. Outdated Kanban boards can lead to issues in the development process as well, as this can become outdated quickly. Sometimes the Kanban board can become overcomplicated or disorganized if there are too many elements placed on it. This method is not the best if your process is super complex or has a lot of stages, or if you have a project with a high degree of uncertainty that requires team discipline. Next, we have the Scrum method. Scrum is a form of Agile project management. You can think of it more like a framework than as a project management methodology in itself. Formalized meetings, such as the daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint planning, help to facilitate collaboration and transparency. This method has clearly defined roles to help to promote clear communication and accountability. With Scrum, work is split into short cycles known as sprints, which usually last between 1 to 4 weeks. This allows for frequent status updates and project adjustments. Work is taken from the backlog for each sprint iteration. Small teams are led by a Scrum Master for the duration of the sprint, after which they review their performance in a sprint retrospective and make any necessary changes before starting the next sprint. The Scrum method works best for complex projects with changing requirements and many unknowns. Scrum accommodates continuous changes, has transparency and visibility, increases the team accountability, and can be a cost-saving development methodology. This method is best for complex projects with changing requirements and many unknowns, or if you're striving for continuous improvement. Now the cons. A high level of planning and defining is required with the Scrum method. If the task is defined poorly, then the project can lead to inaccuracies. This method also requires a high level of experience. One poorly trained Scrum Master can ruin a project. Low levels of commitment or accountability from team members can delay a project as well with this method. And scope creep can be more likely. So adding additional features or functions of a new product, requirements, or work that is not authorized, or idea men or idea people who change the scope constantly. This method is not the best if you don't have the full commitment from the team needed to make it work. Our next method is the Scrumban method. The main benefit of Scrumban as a method is that instead of deciding which task from the backlog to work on in each sprint at the outset, like you would in a traditional Scrum framework, Scrumban allows teams to continuously pull from the backlog based on their capacity, like they would in a Kanban framework. Using work in progress limits from Kanban during your sprint cycle from Scrum, you can keep a continuous flow while still incorporating project planning, reviews, and retrospectives as needed. The Scrumban method does use the best practices of Scrum and Kanban combined. For Scrum, you get the timeline, structure, and sprints. And with Kanban, you get visual aspect and transparency. Using Kanban lets everyone in the team see what's going on, who's working on what, making it much easier to spot bottlenecks. This method is best for projects that require flexibility while still maintaining some structure, or large projects that need to be split into smaller workable chunks. Now the cons. It does require more planning upfront, and it is harder to implement than Scrum or Kanban alone. Lastly, this method can lead to confusion in the team if it is not implemented properly. And this method is not the best if you don't have the full commitment from the team needed to make it work, or if you have a micromanager. Scrumban only works if the team it is deployed in has some degree of control over their workload or the items involved in it. All right, so now that we've talked about some methods, we are going to introduce briefly some project management software. The first one we have is Jira. Jira is a suite of agile work management solutions that powers collaboration across all teams from concept to customer, empowering you to do the best work of your life together. Jira offers several products and deployment options that are purpose-built for software, IT, business, ops teams, and more. Jira is free for up to 10 users, and then it has a pricing plan of standard, which is $7.75 per person per month, then premium, which is $15.25 per month, and enterprise, which is billed annually. Jira has pre-made templates for both Scrum and Kanban. Scrum boards help agile teams break large, complex projects into manageable pieces of work, so focused teams working in sprints ship faster. Flexible Kanban boards help teams visualize their workflow, limit work in progress, and maximize efficiency as a team while using Jira. Asana is free to use for up to 15 people. Then you have Premium, which is $10.99 per user per month, and Business, which is $24.99 per user per month. Asana has different workflows to suit different types of teams, such as marketing, operations, IT, products, and sales. Asana emphasizes cross-team communication and accountability or visibility. The last project management software we are going to introduce today is Trello. Trello is listed as free for your whole team. So $0 for individuals or teams looking to organize any project. They do have other pricing options available though. There is standard, which is $5 per user per month. And this is for small teams that need to manage work and scale collaboration. Next, there is premium, which is $10 per user per month. And this is for teams that need to track and visualize multiple projects in several ways, including boards, timelines, calendars, etc. Lastly, there is enterprise, which is $17.50 per user per month. For organizations that need to connect work across teams with more security and controls, this level will be a good fit. As you can see on the screen, Trello does have boards, and these keep tasks organized and work moving forward. So you can see at a glance everything from things to do to, oh my gosh, we did it, we are done. Lists are also available. So these are the different stages of a task. You can start very simple and build a workflow custom fit to your team's needs. You can make it whatever you want it to be. Lastly, there are cards, and these represent tasks and ideas, and they hold all of the information to get the job done. As you make progress through the project, you can move the cards across lists to show their status. If you are interested in learning more about project management, the library offers free access to LinkedIn Learning and Udemy with a Plano Public Library card. You can access both of these resources by going to the Plano Public Library website. That is planolibrary.org. And you go to the Research and Learn section, and then we have all of our databases there. And thank you, Nathan. The link is in the chat if you would like it. If you would like to share any feedback about today's program, please fill out our survey, which should appear in your browser at the end of the program. This survey helps us curate future programs according to what you say you're interested in. So please help us out and let us know. All right, I believe we have time for, oh, we do have one question. All right.
So the question for the Q&A says, what systems are effective for tracking using the Kanban method?
I may have to do some research on that, Abby, and get back to you. If you wouldn't mind sending your email to me or Nathan in the chat, and we will get back with you on that. Right. Are there any other questions? Awesome. Thank you, Abby. Great. If you, oh, Udemy, yes. Actually, I can pull it up. Let me stop sharing for a moment. Udemy is one of our databases. It's very similar to LinkedIn Learning if you're familiar with it, but I can pull it up and share my screen. Just give me one moment.
I added a couple Udemy resources in the chat as well. There's a PDF link there that explains what we offer through the Plano Public Library.
Awesome. Thank you, Nathan. And this is what the main page of Udemy looks like. It is one of our TechShare databases. So there are over 20,000 online video courses. They're up-to-date courses, and they do have an international collection. So like I said, it's very similar to LinkedIn Learning. If you have an interest in learning about a specific topic, like more about project management methodologies, you can do a search and it'll pop up online courses for you to take. And it's pretty awesome. And you get it for free with your Plano Public Library card. Great. If there aren't any other questions, I will pull the, oh, thank you, Kelly. We'll pull up the last slide of the PowerPoint, which has my email on it. If you think of any questions after the program today, please feel free to send me an email. My name is Emery Courtney, and I'd be happy to help you out if I can. Thank you all for coming to this program today. If you do have a moment, please fill out the survey that will pop up in your browser right after we end the webinar. And just thank you and have a great rest of your day.